Hi everybody, I'm Darren Franich, senior writer for Entertainment Weekly, and I'd like to welcome you to EW's Brave New Warriors panel here at Comic-Con 2014. You might ask, what does the phrase Brave New Warriors mean, besides mashing up the title of a Pixar movie and the name of everyone's third favorite Marvel Comics super team from the 90s? Go Night Thrasher. To me, what's exciting about the 5 awesome actors I'm about to bring on stage is that whether they're playing heroes or anti-heroes, or heroes becoming anti-heroes, or anti-heroes who are slowly going insane, what unites them all is that they're all at the forefront of major TV shows and movies that are kind of redefining, pushing the boundaries of what we expect of protagonists in the projects that we love. Some of them are playing characters with a long history, stretching back decades, if not centuries. Some of them are creating entirely new iconic characters who will be played in 50 years by someone else. And if you have questions for them, we'll have Q&A in a little bit. If you are feeling comfortable and don't want to stand up, you can tweet questions at me. It's at DA and so forth. Now please welcome them. We'll bring them on one by one and welcome them as loudly and as crazily as you can. First up, the Australians in the house know him from Home and Away, moviegoers know him from Maleficent, and soon he'll be Jonas in The Giver, Brenton Thwaites. Next, he's been acting since he was 7 on screens large and small. You may remember him from Finding Neverland and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and if you do, that makes his current role on Bates Motel even creepier. Freddie Highmore. Our third panelist, in 6 seasons of Sons of Anarchy, he's lied to his friends, killed people, attempted suicide, overdosed, and maintained an impressive mohawk, just doing everything he can to make you forget the time he starred in a movie with the Olsen twins. It's Theo Rossi. Our fourth panelist, in England, he worked steadily on stage, on screen, on radio. Then he came to America and taught us all the proper pronunciation of lieutenant. It's Tom Meissen from Sleepy Hollow. Last, but certainly not least, he's played soldiers, cops, a Quaalude dealer with fantastic facial hair, Robert De Niro's son, and Al Capone. In this fall's Fury, he rides a tank through World War II with Brad Pitt. He also starred in a little show no one's ever heard of called The Walking Dead. Give it up for Jon Bernthal. Guys, thank you all so much for being here today. I want to just start off by talking about your current projects and how you kind of came to them. Brenton, we'll start with you. The Giver is a book that has such a kind of reputation. How did you come to the project, and what was it like sort of taking on the role of Jonas?
Well, I read the screenplay first, and from the screenplay I kind of read the book after. And I just fell in love with his journey. He's got such a passionate, visceral, emotional journey from start to finish. And from there I worked with the director, Philip Noyce, and we formed a kind of tight bond in the audition room, and
that was it.
And I got lucky, yeah.
Freddie, sort of the same question. You're also playing a character with a really kind of iconic stature. I mean, Norman Bates is probably one of the great, cinema villains of the last century. How did you come to Bates Motel? What was it like taking on that role?
No, it was a fantastic opportunity. I guess the opportunity to work with Vera was an amazing one. The scripts were fantastic. A&E were right behind it all from the start. So, yeah, just a great opportunity. Hope you don't mess it up, as you say, with all the legacy behind it all.
And Theo, I tried finding a TV show from the 2000s that you didn't appear on at some point, which was very difficult. Can you talk about kind of transitioning from that into being a recurring and then a regular character on Sons of Anarchy?
I mean, the thing is, in this hustle world, in this game, I mean, you start off, you're like, most of us like blue-collar actors, you're just kind of looking for that one thing that's going to stick. You do all these pilots, you do these shows, some last for a year, some last, and then some become like phenomenons, like cultural phenomenons, like Walking Dead and Bates Motel, you know, Bates Motel and Sons of Anarchy and stuff like that. And I got really lucky because I got on this show when cable television was just like exploding. And it's crazy that we're in our 7th season and we're coming to an end. It's nuts. So it's and the fact that I'm still alive is absolutely crazy. So yeah, it's cool to have a gig that, you know, for a long time that can kind of lead to everything us just being, you know, it's pretty cool.
Now, Tom Meissen, when we all first heard about Sleepy Hollow, it sounded pretty crazy. Now we've seen it, it still seems pretty crazy. I'd love to know, what was it like when you first got the script for the pilot of Sleepy Hollow?
I thought, this is a terrible idea. It'll never work to take a character from American literature and throw him into the modern world with demons and completely bastardize it and American history and tear up every book you've ever read in your life. So I'm in. Clearly, no one else is.
We'll get more into American history later, but actually, speaking of American history, John Bernthal, this is not the first time you've been involved in a World War II era drama. You were, of course, in the Pacific. But tell us about Pacific fans in the house.
Right on.
Tell us about how you came to Fury, which, from what I understand, is just a lot of guys in a tank for about 2 hours.
Yeah. Very, whole lot of close quarters. Yeah, look, it's anytime you're given the honor to portray a soldier, it's a special, very, very special responsibility. And you know, look, I feel incredibly grateful to be a part of this film. I think that this movie will attempts to sort of take the World War II film and sort of turn it on its head. And I feel like it's going to be as raw and as realistic and gritty a look into World War II as we've seen. And you know, I just learned so much about the time and what it took to be a tanker, Sherman tanker, and you know, I'm just super grateful for the opportunity.
Well, now I want to ask all you guys a little bit. You know, you're in projects that have kind of like these major fan bases. A lot of you are playing characters where there's a lot of kind of expectation placed on you, and I'd love to know what that's kind of like. We'll start back down here, Brendan. You know, when you were first cast as Jonas, people were saying you were too old, which makes me feel very old, quite frankly. But what's it kind of been like interacting with the people who've read The Giver? What's that kind of, does that make your job easier or harder, knowing there's people kind of watching this project like that?
I guess this is the start of it. I mean, I have to explain to people why I'm 25 and the kid's 12. And I can't, I don't know why. There are reasons, obviously, why they age the characters up for, you know, keeping me on set for 20 hours. They can't do that to a 12-year-old. But yeah, there's an expectation because Jonas is loved by so many people. But I guess I had to bring my own thing to the character, like you always have to, and respect Lois's writing. And yeah.
Well, and speaking about kind of bringing your own thing, you know, Freddie, with the Anthony Perkins depiction of the character being so iconic, did you sort of watch that performance? Were there things you wanted to take or things you definitely didn't want to do as you went into Bates Motel?
I guess we brought it into the contemporary setting for the show, so that gave you a certain amount of freedom to sort of not be too tied to the original material, to his fantastic performance. But certainly there was, you know, you tried to kind of be inspired by him and be inspired by what had been done before, and you know, Hitchcock and Anthony Perkins, but never an attempt to mimic it. Another source of inspiration, but not more than that.
Now backstage, Theo, we were sort of talking about how Sons of Anarchy has just grown and grown, and the fan base has grown over the course of years. Has that been kind of surreal for you? Because I think, you know, as you pointed out, this is a show about motorcyclists. It's not necessarily the first thing you think of as being a kind of Comic-Con style event.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, when we first came here, like I said, and now, you know, the fact that we do our panel on Sunday, we close out Comic-Con in the biggest hall and all that. I mean, you really look at the show. I think Walking Dead was, before Walking Dead came along and just started beating everybody by like triple-digit numbers in the ratings. I mean, we were like this massive show, and we became like almost like this graphic novel. in a way, where it became like this super heightened reality. And it made it, you know, now there's, you know, like everybody, you know, comic books and action figures and video games on the way and all this kind of stuff, and it's just so much bigger than us. Like you kind of right around, you know, like season 2 or whatever, the show becomes so much bigger than the people involved. It's not this little cable show you're doing anymore. That's kind of what it is.
Well, now Tom, you're kind of a relative newbie to this level of fandom. Have you had good or bad experiences as people have been sort of discovering Sleepy Hollow? Well, actually, have you had any weird experiences is probably a better question.
There are some weird titters from the front. I think maybe they're planning something weird to happen later. Nothing weird yet. Without the wig and the costume, people don't seem to recognize me. I've been in pubs in North Carolina where we shoot, and thank you, the North Carolina resident. Moonshine. And I've been in pubs in North Carolina, and there were a couple of guys talking about Sleepy Hollow with me sitting next to them, and not realizing until I, with my outrageous accent, ordered a gin. And then they were like, "Oh my God, you took a and bought me the gin. Which is all I ever dreamt of.
Never pay for a gin again now.
Never.
Well, John, I mean, you know, Theo was mentioning The Walking Dead, and of course you were on that show during the years when it was really becoming a phenomenon. What was it like for you? Because you were playing Shane, and Shane, it's fair to say, is a pretty fascinating figure, what he did during season 2. Like, did people ever kind of confuse you with Shane? Were they ever like, why are you doing all the things you're doing?
Oh man, I think that that was look. I think that I love Walking Dead fans, and I'll start with that. I love Comic-Con fans, and I think that rock and roll, brother. And I think that what was crazy is when it started, before the show even started, there was this massive fan base because of the graphic novel, and I remember when we all introduced ourselves. It was in New York, and we sort of went down the line. And everybody said who they were and what character they would be portraying. And everybody got a nice warm round of applause. And I said, "Hey, I'm John Bernthal, I'll be playing Shane." It was like, "Boo!" And nobody had even seen the show yet. They just hated it. And what's crazy about that is then in season 2, when I feel like I actually did some pretty bad stuff, then people started kind of liking me a little bit more, and it sort of was a perverted sort of, anyway. But yeah, man, I think that that is, look, I dig the fans, and anybody who, digs the work, I appreciate with all my heart, and it's a thrill to be here, up here with these guys.
Well now, so the name of our panel is Brave New Warriors, but all of you guys have had the opportunity to work with some brave old warriors, some of the real kind of icons of acting and performing. I'm wondering, have you guys ever been really nervous about working with someone, or about, has ever been a performer who was just really imposing when you were on set? John, I'm mostly looking at you, because you were recently starring alongside of some pretty major figures in film history in Grudge Match.
Oh, Grudge Match? Oh man. Yeah, dude, that was intimidating in the beginning. Look, I did that movie entirely to work with my hero Robert De Niro, and to be able to play his son was, highlights of my life. Great. And I remember I was so intimidated. I tried to give him as much space as possible. I'll try to make this short. But my one Robert De Niro story is on our last day of shooting, after we'd been together for a couple months, I really wanted to give him a proper goodbye. And I went into his trailer and I really kind of practiced what I was going to say, and I told him that, he was my favorite actor, and that I got into a lot of trouble in my life, and a lot of the characters that he portrayed on screen showed me that the kind of energy that would normally get me in trouble could actually make me an actor. And now I have a career and a family, and I owed so much of that to him. And he was just like, okay. He just wanted me to stop. And then I was like, no, Bob, you gotta hear this. I called him Bob, that's like the douchiest thing ever, but that's what I called him. And I said, you know, man, you gotta listen to this. That's Robert De Niro, the actor, but now I know the man, and you're so humble and gracious, and you're so much more than I could ever imagine. I'm just so grateful that, you know, that we're friends now, and that I know you. And I wasn't expecting anything in return, but when I was done with my speech, he just sort of looked at me and he said, you know, we do these things, and then they're over. And so that was that. So, yeah, but he's the greatest.
Words to live by Robert De Niro.
We had a few words.
Brenton, what about you? You know, in The Giver, you're acting opposite Jeff Bridges, who has been starring in movies for I think 90 years now. What was it like sort of working with him? Because I know he was very passionately invested in this project too.
It was pretty nerve-wracking, man. I mean, the first time I went to Philip Noyce's house in South Africa for rehearsals, I was kind of shaking like I am right now. And I went to shake Jeff's. Oh, thank you, baby. I went to shake his hand, and he could feel I was so nervous. And he just goes, man, I'm fucking scared, man. I was so scared, you know. It was kind of comforting to know that if you've been acting for 90 years or 100 years or whatever, you know, you still have those kind of pre-movie years. And, he was super cool to work with.
It's very, very inspiring to know that it never gets any easier, as it comes down to.
It doesn't get easier.
But Freddie, you know, two of your first major projects, you were working alongside of Johnny Depp, who's famously a very normal person. What was that experience like of being with that performer?
I guess I didn't really have any nerves. I don't know. Maybe starting young, I think Finding Neverland, I was kind of 9 or 10, and so you arrived on set and you didn't sort of see him as being this big star, or perhaps realise how lucky you were at the time, and it was just kind of going in and having a fun time. You get to smash out some play sets and then do it again and have a bit of a cry and they'll say, oh, it's okay, and you know, it's just kind of good fun. They're not really nervous in any way.
And they get paid at the end of the day, so.
Yeah.
Theo, now I'm sure everyone here is wondering, who's the scariest person on the set of Sons of Anarchy?
The scariest as a human being, or just in like their personal life?
Interpret that however you want to interpret that.
I mean, you know, listen, when we did, you know, we did an original pilot and then they recast a few roles, and I immediately assumed it was me they were going to recast, and they didn't. They actually recast, Ron Perlman came on the show. And when Perlman came on, I mean, for me, him, when we reshot the pilot, it was him and Kim Coates, and my first reaction is like, holy shit, that's the dude from Waterworld, when Kim Coates walked on. And then I was like, that's Hellboy. Like, that threw me off. Like, I was like, this is crazy. Because no one in the world looks like Ron Perlman. Like, no one. Right? So, like, he came on, and you're, like, immediately intimidated. But then he's like, you know, he's a New Yorker like I am, and we, you know, bestest of friends from it. You know, we hang out all the time. You know, we spend holidays together, like, in New York. Like, he's the same thing, and we kind of grew up exactly the same way. He grew up in Washington Heights. And it's just, he's had this career, you're talking about 90 years. Ron's done like, I think he does 90 movies a year at one point. So, you know, he's just going, and the fact that he's like, you know, Hellboy and all that. So, he was the most intimidating, but he was the most intimidating for me. Because it was just super like Beauty and the Beast, like I was like, what's going on? But great dude.
Now, Tom, I wanted to ask you, you know, you have a very lengthy resume in England, on stage, on television, and so forth, and yet, when Sleepy Hollow debuted, you were generally described as, oh, he's an unknown, he's a newcomer. What was it like kind of moving from the sort of British television that you're working on into American TV?
Well, it's nice after 10 years to finally be new. That's what I've been working towards. It was a very weird thing in my audition when I was flown over to LA and I met Alex Kurtzman and Len Wiseman and yes, they're both here. And the one thing that everyone kept saying was classical training. Classical training. Oh, he's classically trained. He's from England. He's a classically trained actor. I thought, I don't know what that means. It means he's slightly floppy and has a weird accent. So there was all the usual worries when you were going to an audition. But then added to that, I thought, shit, I need to be classy. And so that was really my main thought throughout the audition, and I fooled them.
We have a question coming in. Yeah, come We have a question coming in from Twitter from Danielle R811. A question for John. After punching Jonah Hill in Wolf of Wall Street, is there someone else you'd really like to get the chance to hit?
I want to hit him again. I want to give him a kiss. No, I don't want to hit anybody. No.
What was it like that day on the set? Because you have a lot of experience with stunts from The Walking Dead, I would imagine. What was it like that day with Jonah Hill? Was there any preparation, or did you just kind of go in for it?
What's the question, man?
What I will ask is, I read on IMDb that you've broken your nose 14 times. Is that true?
That, unfortunately, yeah. This is the nose to prove it. Yeah, it can move these bones around. Yeah, pretty nasty. Yeah, it is what it is.
Which time hurt the most?
You know, probably the first, but yeah, it's pretty nasty. I definitely have a face for radio.
Well, pretty soon I'm going to open this up to audience questions, but I think that my last question for the panel right now is, right now you're all working on these kind of really major projects. You've had a lot of success. As far as, when you were kind of coming up, were there any roles you really wanted to have, or were there any times when you were really just like, this whole acting thing, oh man, like this might not be for me? We'll start with Theo. We'll start in the middle and work our way down this way.
Oh man, I mean, is this acting thing for me? I mean, I think, everybody asks themselves questions every day when they're doing this stuff, and it's such a, blessing. I just appreciate this whole thing so much. It's been such an amazing ride for, the last 15 years, and it's just crazy. Like you were just saying, you can do this, and then they think you're new after, 10 years, and you've been doing it for a while, and it's just cool because you get something like this where you get recognition for that specific project you're on. It's very cool, so I'm just grateful.
Well, and Freddie, history is filled with a lot of kind of younger actors making the transition into more grown-up roles, and fair to say that your role now is definitely taking you to some pretty intense places. What was it like kind of transitioning into Norman Bates, into the kind of intensity of his psychology?
Yeah, it was fun. I always say fun on set, but we've got these really fun scenes going on. So, no, you're killing someone else. I know, it's good though, it's nice. He's a nice guy. Norman's a friendly person. But hopefully it'll be a bit more transition. I guess that's the nice thing about playing Norman. He's not going to be killed off, so I'll be around for a while.
Theo wishes he had that kind of job.
Every day.
Everyone's looking through the scripts as if I'm like, I just wonder which one of you I will be getting rid of, as opposed to, but not with any glee, they're all lovely people. And then, I guess at the moment I've just finished university, so it's more this sense of kind of not hiding behind being a student anymore. People you like, oh no, I'm just I do a bit of acting, but actually studying, and I guess there's not that.
Well then,
anymore.
Well then, I hear they're casting the Sons of Anarchy prequel now too. So
there's talk. Who knows? I don't know. The young Ron Perlman, and we got a lot of things.
Whoa, man.
Yeah, Theo. Who would play the younger version of you?
Me?
Yeah.
Ralph Macchio. He still looks young. He still can play the younger version of me. And he's 65 years old.
What about Tom, for you? Are there any kind of audition horror stories or any on-set horror stories?
I remember once auditioning for a commercial for Italian chewing gum, and it was a horrible wet Wednesday morning, and they said, all right, so we just want you to go over there and mime hatching out of a giant egg. And then walk it. No, maybe it wasn't an audition. So I had to mime hatching out of an egg and then pretend to walk into a phone booth and have a shower, and that's when I decided I'm not cut out for this. One of the best auditions I've done was when I managed to convince them that I was fluent in French. I don't speak a word of French. And got the job. and it was shooting in France in French. And I didn't have a clue what I was saying. And I turned up on the first day and the director said, a brilliant actor called Daniel Auteuil, who is in an amazing film called Hidden. It's probably the first time he's ever been mentioned at Comic-Con, so I'll leave it. He and the other lead have been mates for 30 years, and so the director said, you know, they've known each other for a long time, it's the first time they've worked together, so they're just improvising, they're throwing things around, so just, you know, keep up with them. And was just standing there when we did the first take, just waiting for one of them to stop talking long enough for me to shout out any of the lines. And between takes, the sound guy would come up and pretend to play with my microphone, and he said, "You don't speak French, do you?" I said, "No, I don't. No, this is terrible." And every take, he'd come up and he'd whisper a French line for me to blurt out.
Now, John, I want to ask you specifically about filming Fury because you know, you're working with David Ayer, who's a really famously intense filmmaker. It sounds like you guys are working in close quarters the entire time. Have there been any kind of tough days on set, or any days where you're just like, oh man, this is the intensity level is at an all-time high?
Look, I mean, yeah, you know, look, I have a certain this I can probably speak for. I'm sure I can speak for everybody up here. We're you know, we get paid to do what we love more than anything else in the world. So I always take a little bit of an issue when, you know, actors talk about how tough, you know, it is. I think that said, you know, that I think David is sort of the one guy out there working right now who is able to tap into a kind of a real sort of he can tap into intensity unlike anyone, at least I've ever seen or I've worked with before, and he demands an unbelievable amount from his actors, and he's able, I think a lot of times, the main job of the director is to create an environment to work in, and look, I've been so privileged and honored to work with some of the greatest, but he is, to me, as far as doing that, he's on a completely different level. I think that this movie, at least the experience I had, the movie I saw with my eyes, was the most intense atmosphere I've ever been a part of. So when you think about that, you think about, you know, we're just playing pretend, so when you think about what these guys in these teeny little tanks actually went through, it is just absolutely staggering. And so that's what we were going for, and I'm really, really, again, honored to be a part of this one, and I hope you guys dig it.
Now, Brenton, your kind of first two major motion pictures have both been like big, huge, kind of Hollywood-style productions, and you've been doing a bit of action stuff for The Giver as well, right? Has that been, is that more or less fun than acting alongside of Jeff Bridges?
I guess it's the same. I did a lot of that action with a baby in my arms.
Actual baby, just for real.
Baby, a real baby that really cries, as you guys may know in the story. And it was great, you know, we didn't really do any green screen stuff. It was all real. It was all, you know, climbing up a mountain in South Africa and, you know, swimming in the Orange River on the border of Namibia and South Africa and climbing snow-capped rocks, which was pretty gnarly. But it was great fun. That's the kind of environment you want. And Philip really wanted that real feel that this character goes through all sorts to get to his goal. So I loved it. I loved all that stuff. It was fun.
We got a question coming in from Twitter here from Sharonita782. Whole panel question. What are your current pop culture favorites? Start at this end.
Start at the other end, bro.
Start at the other end. Something you like in pop culture.
Say pop culture?
Man, dude. Shoot. Pop, man, I got like little babies, dude. I got time for pop. I mean, is it pop culture? I mean, is Game of Thrones pop culture? Yeah. I love Game of Thrones, you know. And I love Waylon Jennings. That's not pop culture.
That's close.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna pass it on down. Yeah.
Tom, what about you? What are you interested in right now?
I was going to say Game of Thrones as well. I was rather late to the game and I binged the first 3 seasons in about a month. In time for the last one. And I'm so sorry to all of you that you couldn't get into the Game of Thrones panel. Thank you for coming to us. That's a great Next year, guys. Next year.
I'm like John. This is like the worst question you could ask me. I don't know. Pop culture. We're in the middle of film and I just watched like. It's probably not pop culture. We watched 2 seasons of House of Cards, and like I felt like it was like a couple of days. Slammed that show really fast. I mean, that's probably the wrong word to use, but we watched it really, and it was really good.
Freddie, what about you?
I like football. That's very popular. You know.
To clarify, yes. To clarify.
Soccer.
Yes.
Soccer. Sorry. Arsenal. Yeah, so we've got season tickets to Arsenal, but I think it's a form of culture. It's very popular. I think it's an okay answer. Arsenal, yes. Arsenal. But no, most people are like, oh, what is this? But yeah, America's going to go. World Cup, there was a bit more interest than there was 4 years ago, I think. So Tim Howard inspired a few more Americans to think, oh, maybe I'll give it a go.
It's nice that for the next year you can mention Tim Howard and always get a cheer. That's a nice thing about being an American right now. What about you, Brenton?
I'm going to jump on the Game of Thrones train.
So people like Game of Thrones is the main lesson of this panel.
We couldn't get in either, that's why we're here.
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, like, are you guys the only 2 British people who aren't on Game of Thrones now? Is that, maybe coming in season 5?
For now.
For now.
Another question coming in from Twitter for the whole panel, from BabyDon1111. If you could have any other TV role, or any other movie role, I guess, what would it be?
Whoa. To be shot or already shot?
What's that?
To be shot or already shot? Future, past?
Future or past?
I'm intrigued by the name. What is it? Baby doll? 1111.
It was. Sorry, I closed it. That was from Baby Dawn.
Baby Dawn.
Baby Don.
Like baby Dawn.
Little baby doll. Sorry.
What did Baby Don want?
If you could have any other role right now in movies or television, what would you have?
I can see why we ignored Baby Don. What roles would you like?
Oh, I thought you answered. I was like, yeah.
Oh, no.
Past or present?
I'd like to be Claire Danes from Homeland. And I really like, and Sons of Anarchy. Yeah, Sons of Anarchy. And he says that now. So, yeah, I missed the boat, but yeah, that'd be a cool show to be on. Now he tells us.
Just looking around the panel, which one? I love that one.
Oh yeah, Bates Motel, I'd like to be in that.
I did want to be in The Giver.
Theo, what about you? Any other role? Television or movies?
I mean,
radio plays?
past roles? I would say past. I mean, to me, I think we, all know. There's some. I just saw like Citizen Kane at the Orpheum Theater and Godfather 2 at the Egyptian. Like there was like somehow you could do that kind of film nowadays. Would be like any Godfather 2 now would be like bananas. Yeah.
It's quite a difficult question because when there's something that you really, really like, I always think I'm pleased I'm watching it.
Yeah.
I'm pleased I'm not in it.
I don't want to ruin it.
So the only things that you'd ever feel like I wish I'd been a part of that were if you arrogantly thought I could do better, which of course I don't.
So Citizen Kane or Godfather, you can do better than all of those, Theo.
Godfather 6.
With you, it's just me.
Just me. As a real Godfather, it's nothing to do with the mafia. I'm just a Godfather of a kid.
All right. Do we have any questions from the audience for these guys? Hello, miss.
Well lit.
Hi, so I was wondering, if you could work with anybody, who would it be? Like whether you've worked with them already and you'd like to again, or if there's another person, like who would you really like to work with?
Cranston. Breaking Bad was one of the best shows ever made, and he was remarkable from start to finish. And when you see actors who, you know, you look at Malcolm in the Middle and then look at Breaking Bad. And when you've got actors who can really change and completely throw themselves into a new, perfectly rounded character, I just would like to, you know, learn from him. There are...
Anyone else have an answer to that one?
I was going to say I'd like to work with Robert De Niro. I don't know, one day. That's my...
We do these things. Yeah. Apparently, I just worked with. I'm working now with briefly with Emily Blunt, and she is the coolest chick that has ever. She's the great. I would love to work with her again.
Theo, what about you? Anybody you definitely want to work with?
Everyone on this panel. That's someone had to say that. That's what we need. We had two left, and we didn't know if it was going to happen.
But I couldn't say I want to work with me. And you?
Yeah, you nicked my answer, Theo. Thanks very much. I guess all the people that I've already worked with again. They've all been fantastic, and that's the joy in some ways of television, I think, because as Robert De Niro said, you know, it's over. But with TV, it's not. You get to go back and have another season and work again with this same crew and cast. Who, if you're having a fantastic time, they become like a family, and you just want to want it all to carry on. So that's what I've really loved about television: the chance to work again and again with the same people that you've come to know so well.
Yes, sir. Do you have a question for the panel?
Yes, hello. I'm Lawrence from San Diego. I have a two-part question for Mr. Rossi. Sons of Anarchy, were you aware ahead of time of the violent way that Opie was leaving the show? And if not, how did you react when you read the script?
Oh man, I mean, I think when you lose anybody, you know, like Freddie just said, you become like a family. You're doing these things for so long, and it's like you go to work 6 months a year, and we have the same crew from season 1. We have this brotherhood of, you know, people in this family, and when people start going, it kind of symbolizes that this isn't going to be forever, you know, and that's kind of what happened. Like, he was that first major one for us that we were like, oh, this show's ending. We're not going to be doing this forever. I'm not going to have a mohawk and be like a psychopath and, you know, have tattoos on the side of my head, and, you know, so, and no, you know, the way he went, I just thought, you know, violent or not, I thought it was just one of the most heroic and beautiful, if there's such a thing as a beautiful death. I thought the way he went was just like, wow, you know. So, yeah, it's cool.
And next question.
Hi, my question is for Brenton. I know that you're coming out in a movie with Ewan McGregor, and I wondered if you could talk about the role that you're playing and what your character is about.
Yeah, I am. I haven't spoken about that film yet. Thank you for bringing it up. I'm really excited about it. It's called Son of a Gun, for those who don't know. Crazy story, actually. A year before I got cast, I watched The Beginners. You all seen The Beginners? It's a great film with Ewan McGregor and Melanie Laurent. Did I say that right? French guy who doesn't know French.
You're very close.
And I said to my friend, a year from now, I want to work with Ewan McGregor, and exactly a year from that date, I got cast in the movie with Ewan McGregor. And so it was a dream come true. We had a great time in Western Australia, in Perth. We shot in Perth, and in the desert areas of northwestern Australia. It was a great time. I mean, it's about a guy who goes to jail and meets this mentor in jail. And my character gets out and runs a bunch of illegal errands for this guy and helps him escape from prison. And together they go on a gold heist and steal gold from Australia. I mean, there's not much gold in Australia. I don't know why we do that kind of stuff, but be still like $5 million or something. In America, it'd be like 50 million or 100 million, but in Australia, it's like, oh, we got $5 million. I think it was 10 million anyway, that's a lot of money. Yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoy it. It's a cool film.
And next question, please.
Hi, my name is Delilah. This question's for Freddie. I was wondering, how do I watch season 2 Bates Motel and besides iTunes?
It's not to be recommended to see it legally. I'm not sure. I guess we were quite lucky because we got sent a little link ahead of time, but I've been told I'm not meant to share it. So before the episodes have come out, it's probably not a good idea. But I really don't know, I'm sorry.
We'll try to find out that information for you.
Sorry. Do you know how to watch it? You said you've got to work on it, you know, you might, how did you see it?
That'll be the most difficult question of the panel, I think.
Sorry, I failed.
Next question.
Hi, my name's Amanda. I chose you guys over the Game of Thrones panel, so I was wondering, especially for Theo, you've got the mohawk, Tom, you've got the wig, John, when you were in not in Game of Thrones, but in Walking Dead, you had shaved your head. Is there any elements of costume or like things like that that really make you like, okay, this is, when I put this on, I'm stepping out of myself and becoming this character?
Yeah, for me especially, because it's a complete change. Because it puts the wig on, and it puts the wig on. Bill from Silence of the Lambs. And like the costume, it changes you physically. And I'm done. Yes. Mohawk.
Yes. Theo. No, I do, you know, for me, and things are very different this season, which you'll see. But it's like an hour and a half. I go in, you know, we do tattoos everywhere, you know, literally all over the head, arms, and the mohawk, which will come up, I'm sure, a few times at our panel. And that, I think your job, what you like to do as an actor is be as far away from who you are as possible. So for me, it's like the more I can get away, you know, Hellboy, like what Perlman does, like throwing all that stuff on, like you become someone else. So when it puts the wig on, or it puts the tattoos on my head, it's happy.
When you were playing Shane on The Walking Dead, you know, there's a character who really went through a physical transformation.
Dude, she left, man. She's gone.
I'm going to catch the end of the Game of Thrones one.
This was a mistake.
I agree with what these guys said. Oh, hey. No, it's huge. It's absolutely huge, and I think, look, it's a visual medium. You know what I mean? So it's like you know, the way you look is huge. But I've found that more and more hair and makeup and you know, it's such a collaborative thing that we do, and so to get to work with great people, hair and makeup people. I met a guy on Wolf of Wall Street named Michael Kristen, and now he does for everything I do. He designs sort of the look of my hair, and it makes a huge difference. Except for Fury, David Ayer, the director, he came in and cut my hair himself, and it's one of the most gnarly cuts you've ever seen in your life, and it's perfect. And I think all of us, I remember all of us sort of saying when we were going through our boot camp and our training, you know, we need to get, once we get the look of these guys, it's gonna help so much. And so it's a huge essential part, and it really helps. Right on.
We've got time for a few more questions, I think. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Erin. My question is for Tom. I actually just want to know what it's like working with John Noble.
Which one's John Noble? Amazing. He just, from the moment he arrived, he was in episode 5, the pilot, and then 5 in. And I knew that he was coming in, he was joining us a couple of episodes before, and just got overexcited because he was so remarkable in Fringe and Lord of the Rings. Why am I getting John Noble applause? He's not doing anything here. And just, you know that there's an actor with a really classy, experienced actor. And so that you can't not get excited. And Nicole would completely agree, I'm sure. And the first time I met him, I didn't meet him until we were on set, doing the scene where, brace yourself, he eats my sin. And I was thinking, leave it, love. And so I didn't meet him before we were sitting opposite each other, and he's dipping bread in blood and eating the bread, and I'm thinking about that bit when you first see him in Lord of the Rings and he's got the tomato, and I was trying my best not to laugh with excitement. He's classy and delightful, and if this show goes on for years and years, I'd be more than happy to work with him for all of that time. He's excellent.
Tom, I just got a question from Twitter that I have to ask because it's the most British question I've ever heard. From Talk TV with Tiffany, Mindy Kaling just called Ichabod Crane the new Mr. Darcy. Did Mr. Darcy inspire your portrayal of Ichabod in any way?
No. No. We have similar clothes, and I think they're both assholes. But with a heart. So, no, but thank you, Tiffany.
Alright, we're closing in on the end here, but I just wanted to go around one more time with all of the panelists. You have all these great projects that you're working on right now. Some of you can't talk too much about them. Theo, I think you're sworn to secrecy. But for you, what's the kind of feeling like of knowing of when the thing finally gets out there, whether it's a movie or a TV show? Is it exciting? Is it anxiety-inducing? Do any of you crawl up into a fetal position and just not go outside for a while? Brenton, what's it like for you as The Giver is about to finally hit theaters?
I think it's a bit of both. I think you have 10 minutes in the fetal position, and then you kind of stretch out and get excited with everyone, and then go back to the fetal position. I think it's crazy, man. I don't know. I'm kind of learning this year what it's like. This is my first year of my movies coming to the screen, and so I'm as excited as you guys to see what it's like, and if you like them or what you feel. Or, yeah, it's exciting.
What about you, Freddie? As we're going into Bates Motel Season 3, presumably great things are going to happen to Norman in the near future. Is it fun knowing that people are about to get a look at it?
Yes, yeah. It's funny because people think you're hiding something when you say I don't know anything about it, but we really don't know anything. So I'm as excited as everyone else to find out what they have in store, and then try and find a way of watching it.
Theo, you're at the other end of this adventure, going into the final season. How's it feeling? Do you feel like is there a sense of we really have to kind of make this one count?
I mean, it does. It counts a lot. If that's even. I mean, it's so chaotic, and it hasn't even. I haven't really thought about it that it's kind of in a way, and I think it's just because we're we're just in the mix, kind of doing our thing, and you know, I'm naked and covered in blood all the time, so I don't know what's happening. You know, it's like it's just the, you know, it's just you're doing your thing, and when it ends, it's like, you know, it doesn't, it hasn't hit me yet at all. So I'll let you know when it could be. It could have ended already. It could be tomorrow. It could be, who knows. So I'll let you know.
Naked and covered in blood.
Yeah.
Hashtag.
It's my biography.
What about
afraid?
What about Tom? Sleepy Hollow has been off the air for a while now. It's coming back pretty soon, presumably. But people don't seem that excited about it, so
You'll all be naked and dirty when you watch it. Was there a question?
I think you answered it.
Oh, yeah.
What about John? Just to kind of finish it up here, you've talked a lot about Fury and how it seems like it's been a real kind of emotional experience for you. Are you excited for people to see it? It seems like you're really carrying a lot of weight with this movie.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, you know, I care deeply about the project, and I care deeply about the people involved, and I care deeply about David Ayer, and so, you know, I don't know what the correct you know, emotion is behind that, but I don't know if it's excitement, but you know, it's very, very, very important to me, and I think again for all of us, it's, you know, to be a part of projects that we actually really care about is just, that is the dream, and so, you know, I'm extremely, extremely grateful.
That's a perfect place to end on, I think. I want to thank all of our panelists here at the Brave New Warriors.